to Chrissy's Books. I am Chrissy. Thank you for tuning into my book review for this week. So for this week, I have a really fun and joyous book by somebody that I just love so much. And it is Over the Top, A Raw Journey to Self-Love by Jonathan Van Ness. Ooh. So normally I'm holding I always hold my digital tablet, but I did not charge it. I was not ready for this book review, but it's okay. You'll get all the pictures in this book review all floating around, so it's all good. So this is my first book that I have read by one of the Queer Eye gang, and it's been on my list for a good while, like literally, and I love Queer Eye so much. The uplifting show is just beautiful. I love it. I can't wait for the new season to drop. And Jonathan is one of my favorites, and I also listen to his podcast a lot, Getting Curious. I just think he's such a sweet person, you know, just so real and honest. I love him. So I decided to try out this audiobook. So this is an Audible review. I was reading quite a few heavy books and I just needed something like uplifting and like fun. And once I heard that this book was being narrated by JVN himself, I was like, yes, I definitely need to listen to him telling me all about his life. So let's get into what Over the Top is all about. Over the Top, A Journey to Self-Love is a memoir about Jonathan Van Ness's journey to how he became the positive, radiant, and effervescent soul that he is today. Before he stole our hearts as the grooming and self-care expert on Netflix's hit show Queer Eye, Jonathan was growing up in a small Midwestern town that didn't understand why he was so, like over the top. From wanting to be an aspiring figure skater on the carpet of his home and the unavoidable fact that he was ever so gay, in his early life, Jonathan was an easy target and endured years of judgment and ridicule and trauma, but none of it crushed his energetic spirit. Over the Top uncovers the pain and passion it took to end up to becoming the model of self-love and acceptance that Jonathan is today. In this raw and rambunctious memoir, Jonathan shares never-before-told secrets and reveals sides of himself that the public has never seen. JVN fans may think they know the man behind the stiletto heels, the crop tops, and the iconic sayings, but there's much more to him than meets the queer eye. Oh, I love that line. So that's what this book is all about, guys. Stay tuned. When I come back, I'm going to give you my review and my rating and my song pick. Stay tuned. It's a fun one. Thank you so much for staying tuned, you guys. So let's get into my review for JVN's Over the Top book. So I have to just first of all start off by saying I love me some JVN. I just love him so much. He's just so like infectious and just so sweet. I love him. So I listened to the audiobook for this read, and it was narrated by Jonathan himself, and this was such a treat to listen to, especially if you're a fan of him and you enjoy his presence in our world, and his adorable voice is just so cute. And I will say that if you're a fan of JVN, then definitely give the audiobook or Audible a go. It was just really fun and energetic to listen to. In the memoir, he starts off his book right from the beginnings, like the humble beginnings of his Midwest upbringing. And actually, for myself, I didn't really like these sections of the chapters as much. I tend to not really be into memoirs where like whoever it is that's talking tells us about like when they were like 4 and 5 years old. Like I just feel like that's just so, I don't know. I don't remember stuff when I was like 3 and 4 years old for me anyway. I mean, I have a bad memory. But yeah, I just didn't really find those chapters or those sections of the beginning of the book really interesting. And for me, the book became much more interesting when we reach his adult life, because it literally just starts from the beginning, like right up until where he is right now. And I just really found like his like later teen years and his like young adult, like 20s, that was just so much more exciting to me. And that's when I started to really like get into the book. yeah, I was like totally hooked. I really love learning about his family and his experiences growing up as a queer young man and navigating his way into this world. And there was something quite honest and raw about how in depth he went into these chapters. And I really love these sections of the book a lot where he's just sort of like figuring out who he is as a queer young man. In this memoir, he describes the various versions of himself or personalities of himself, and I felt that after now reading or listening to this book, I have a much better understanding of who Jonathan Van Ness is, and I just really love that he told us all these different versions of himself. And his story was really vulnerable, and I feel like a lot of people who are struggling with mental health, especially queer people, will really relate to his story. And it was quite inspiring to listen to as well. And he has been through a lot, like he's very good at putting on the face, the JVN face, but like behind all of that, all the things that he's been through is just, it's a lot, and it's just so sweet that he told us everything. It's just very emotional, raw, and just he laid it all bare in this book. I also really love the chapters where he starts talking about Queer Eye, how he got into it. You kind of learn a lot about showbiz and how that kind of works behind the scenes. So yeah, I really like enjoyed learning about like the audition process and all of that. So that was just really, really great to kind of hear about, because you never really hear about that kind of stuff. And also, I really liked how fascinating it was to really learn about what it's like to be a celebrity, and what that does to your mental health. And you don't really think about it from their point of view. You just sort of think, oh, they're a celebrity, yeah, can go up to them and ask them for autograph. But actually, they might be really busy, and they might be struggling through some things that day, maybe, you never know. So it just made me kind of appreciate the other side of being a celebrity, like taking care of your mental health. And after reading this book, I'll definitely never just like run up to like a famous person and just like try and hug them or whatever, because they might not want that. They might want their personal space. So I really did like that about the book. And I got this from Matthew McConaughey's book as well, the Greenlights book. He just sort of tells you what it's like, being in the public eye, and it's not easy. It's great, but it's not easy. So with all that said, let's just jump into my rating for Over the Top by Jonathan Van Ness. I love him. So I gave this book a rating of 7 out of 10. So that means this book was a pretty good read. There's so many things I loved about it. I loved like how he told us everything, his whole story, like, yeah, it was just really great. But I will say, like, I wasn't digging the beginning sections of the book as much. Like, I was kind of like, oh, let's get to the adult sections. So that's mainly the reason why I didn't give it like a higher rating. But like I said, it's just a really sweet book. He's definitely not a writer, I will say that. You are just reading this book to kind of just learn about his life, and it's not like it's written the best. It's not the best writing I've ever read, but the book itself is just really sweet, and he's just a beautiful person, and I love him more after reading this. And if I could describe Over the Top with 4 words, the first one is vivacious. And that is because when I think of JVN, I literally think of the word vivacious. I really do. He's very, very bubbly. It's positive. He's fun. He's lively. He loves doing backflips, and like he's very gymnastics orientated. And he has a really sparkly personality, and that really, really shines through in the book, especially the Audible. And yeah, I just really recommend for you to read this, because it's just, even though there was a lot of heavy stuff, it was still quite uplifting, and it was just what I needed to read. The second word is honest, and that is because he tells us his truth. Like, he lays it all out for us, and he talks about his struggles with mental health, and his queerness as well growing up, his highs and his lows. It's a very vulnerable book, and I feel a lot of LGBTQIA community will definitely be able to resonate with this book, and his honesty. It's very heartfelt. The third word is insightful. And that is because I learned a lot about like the day-to-day life of, someone who's famous and being in the public eye. And their lives can be really full on and filled with a ton of challenges and trying to please everyone, but you have to sort of like take care of yourself mentally. So I did find I found all of that very insightful to kind of learn about what it's like being in the public eye. So insightful. The fourth word is inspiring. Like this book was so sweet. It felt like a self-help book at times, which I really liked. It was quite hopeful. It teaches you a lot about self-love and self-care and like caring for your mental health and your well-being by him telling us his story and what he's been through and how he copes with it all. I just find it all very inspiring, and it's a great book for young LGBTQIA people to read, and also non-LGBTQ people. But yeah, it's just a really sweet book. All in all, just to kind of wrap up this review, this book was such an uplifting, it was just raw, honest memoir about JVN's life and who he is as a person today. It almost reads as a self-help book, like I said, which I really, really enjoyed. And if you're a fan of Queer Eye or if you're a fan of JVN, then definitely add this to your list. You're probably gonna love him more after reading it. I did. And yeah, he's just a lovely human being. I definitely recommend it. And I will recommend as well his podcast, Getting Curious. I'll link it below. It's just good because you just learn so much. Lots of different fun episodes, and he's an activist as well. Like I love everything he does. So yeah, I will link it below. Right, so let's get into my song pick for this book. So for this book, I already knew the person I wanted to be the singer for this song pick. I feel like this song really represents JVN. It's really fun, it's sassy, it's uplifting, it's all about self-care and like loving yourself, and also love this singer so much. Her Instagram is just the best. I love her. And yeah, it's just a very great body positive, fun song, which I feel like is what this book is all about as well. So my song pick for JVN's book is Good as Hell by Lizzo. Oh, what a tune! I love Lizzo. She's literally just the best person. I love her. And yeah, this song just represents this book. So watch the music video. It's really fun. It's very uplifting. It's just like, yeah, celebration of life. It's great. That's it. Thank you guys, and please subscribe, please like my video and comment, if you read this book or if you want to read it. Tell me everything. I love